Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're in our not our downtown studios anymore. We're in our Merle Hay Tower studios with our special guest Jake Highfill, District Representative District 39 in the Iowa House. We want to thank him for joining us. I figured we shift topics a little bit, go a little bit more national instead of local. Hillary. What do you think of Hillary and the mess she has gotten herself into? Because today I was reading that the scandal about the emails may be done before the June 7th primary. And if that happens, that can't be good news. So what do you think about all that? First of all, we already know Hillary's kind of scummy, but outside of that, what do you think about this whole mess with her?
First of all, I've never seen, that's the thing about Democrats and Republicans that are different. You ever seen a Republican primary that's nice and cordial and just somebody just handed the nomination? That's never happened in a Republican primary. No. Statewide, Joni won the big one, but that's a 5-way primary. People, I respected almost all of them. I mean, I know all those guys pretty well. The congressional seat that Zahn ran in, I know those guys. 4 of them live in my district. And so I know them. They're all good folks. And she was just handed the nomination. I mean, completely. I'm anointed. I mean, it's completely just... The only way you can mess this up is if Bernie Sanders comes out of nowhere with 1% name ID and comes out of nowhere and wins 24 states.
Well, the only way she could screw it up, let's just be honest, is if Hillary is Hillary. Yeah. And that's what she did. I'm clowning about Lefty being out there beating the bushes hoping for a lottery ticket. But honest, and you knew this, didn't you? You have to win the lottery or a lottery to be able to go. So you have to buy a ticket, $1,000 or whatever they charge, and then if they pick your ticket, you got to go meet her. Honest to goodness, that's ridiculous. Then nobody can find her, and then here she is, always doing this campaign reset all the time. And she just got done resetting again. That tells me. And Bernie Sanders, a no-name person who has run on occasion as an independent, is wiping the floor with her. Now, Lefty will say, no, Bernie is still getting beat. Yeah, Bernie's still getting beat because she's been able to buy this election so far, which is something that really can't happen on the Republican side. I mean, we just saw that happen. It doesn't matter how much you hate your leader, right? You cannot buy that nomination. We saw that happening.
I love it.
So
I'll tell you, there's nothing better than having the big money candidate on both sides. And I'm not saying there's bad people. There's a lot of good folks on our side that had a lot of money. There's nothing better than saying that the people say, no, we don't care how much money you have. And I'm also convinced that money at those levels, with a name ID, money is more for name ID, in my opinion. Yeah. Because if you don't know about it, you have to do a bunch of mailers and everything. But this one, in my opinion, is if you don't know who Hillary Clinton is, you're living under a rock in this country. So if you already don't have formed somewhat of an opinion on her, I don't care. You can't spend $1 billion to get her name ID for me to vote for her. It's just not going to happen. You can spend $1 billion in Johnston, Iowa on TV, radio. It doesn't matter. I'm not voting for her. So I think that when that stuff has happened, I really think that her negatives are so high that this is my prediction. It's kind of crazy conspiracy like you talked about earlier, that when you ever look at a ballot, the top of ticket always has the most votes. The second one, be Senator Grassley this year, always has second most votes, and so on and so on. People don't always vote if they don't know. I will bet you that Grassley and his opponent, Judge or Hogue, will have more total votes than the top of the ticket.
You think so?
I think it'll be the first time in recent memory.
Wow.
Because the negatives for both are just so...
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's what's happened. People keep talking about how unpopular both of these candidates are. But yet, if they're so unpopular, how do they get where they're at? And I think the problem really boils down to, and I think Jake would agree, I'll ask you the question, do you think their unpopularity stems from the fact of their extremely strong personality and stances?
I think it stems from the fact that so few people have the say in what's going on. As you look across the country, I remember looking at a thing my good friend sent me. It was 1.8% of eligible voters obviously over 18 voted for Donald Trump in Minnesota. Think about it like that. So you have people voting for everybody else, and then the rest stayed home. Because these primaries are, like you talked about, are small turnouts. So you can really sway an election and that. So I think people are frustrated that they feel like they didn't have a say, because you look across, we had record turnout this year in Iowa for the caucuses, and it was 175,000, I believe it was, it
was rocking
for the Republicans, and 3.1 million people in the state. Well, that's actually not a better portion. But I've seen states where it's very small turnout. You have 100,000 people in Nevada show for the caucus on both sides total. It's like that's a small percentage of people. So when they go to November, they have a choice between Donald Trump and Hillary. That's a tough place to be, and that's where they're frustrated. That's why when they poll people, the negatives are so high for both. That's my opinion.
All right. So who do you think is going to be better for the economy, Trump or Hillary?
Trump. You
think Trump? Why do you think that?
Because it's Hillary Clinton.
Because it's Hillary Clinton.
No, I just think that Hillary Clinton has become more liberal. When she first started, if you actually follow her, I've read some books. I read Bill's book, and they actually weren't that liberal when they first started. They were Southern Democrats, as you now. That used to be a thing, a very common blue dog Democrat, and they were more moderate. Bill fixed welfare reform. That was a good program, bipartisan support. Now it's getting farther and farther to the left where nothing's good enough. It's always more money. It's always more of this. And I think every time you take money out of the economy, you're hurting the private sector. So that's my opinion.
Well, let me ask you, do you mind if I ask you a couple personal questions?
Sure.
All right. So where's your favorite restaurant in your district?
In my district?
Yeah. Or anywhere.
Greenbrier.
Actually. You like the Greenbrier?
I love the Greenbrier.
Oh, yeah,
I can walk home. I can walk there. It's 2 blocks from my house. I live by the Vandy's.
That's my favorite ice cream store. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're right in between two of my offices. So
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to invite you again. As medical director of Youth Homes of Mid-America, you are more than happy to come by and
I love
stop by at any time.
I go to everything I can. I love it. Mike Arn, and I sit by him in Rotary. Great guy. I love it.
Well, I want to invite you, if you want, I would like to have you as my guest June 9th for their fundraiser. And if you can't make it, that's all right, but at least want to invite you.
I can probably make it. I'm going to, as you know, my gun stance. I'm going to my NRA IFC rally. I believe it's the next day, but let me double check on Cedar Rapids that next day. I'm going to speak about the bill we ran. So,
all right, yeah, I'll keep in touch with that. Last thing, you have any personal vices?
Personal vices,
like
I like red meat.
Like red meat.
Yeah.
You like cigars?
Mm-mm.
You don't like cigars?
I'll have one every now and then, but I'll tell you, I just no.
No? Oh, rats. Well, I was gonna give you a gift, but I'm gonna wait till next time. I'll bring you a steak next time.
Okay, perfect.
So we want to thank Jake Highfill for Iowa State Representative of District 39.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to say here to your voters?
Always thank you. I appreciate your support here in 2 weeks from today.
All right, great. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We want to thank all of our listeners. We couldn't do what we do without you. We want to thank Jake Highfill for taking time out of his schedule to come in and talk with us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back right after next week.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.